Greetings, Culturians, and welcome back to the channel. Of course, we have to talk about the massive fail of the summer. The superhero gigs. Is that right? None of those things actually did very well. In fact, Superman and Fantastic Four failed to save the 2025 summer box office spectacularly. In fact, across the board, superhero films have been big failures. The only thing that seemed to perform halfway decently this summer was the dinosaur movie with limited dinosaurs. Outside of that, you have to go back a little ways to Lilo and Stitch and maybe take a look at the beginning of the year starting about, well, unfortunately, March. Nothing's been going very well early on in the year in the last several years because there's been nothing good to offer. But we need to talk about the spectacular fail of 2025, so here we go. Now, before we get started, just a real quick reminder. That's right, I am aiming for 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, which means please double check you're still subscribed to the channel. And if you're not, make this the opportunity that you can take advantage of a free subscription right now by turning the little red subscribe button to gray. And after that, hit the notification bell and turn on all notifications so you don't miss anything. I try to do a dozen or so videos a week for each and every one of you on top of all the live streams, and you don't want to miss anything. I promise you, you're going to be informed and entertained throughout the entire week. Now, let's go on and talk about the story coming out of Cosmic Book News. That's right. Matt McGloin over there wrote an article on Friday, the 22nd of August. That's about a week ago since I'm actually putting this recording together. Superman and Fantastic Four failed to save 2025's box office. There's no such thing. We're going to be going into the end of the year, and the last-ditch effort is called Avatar, and you're going to get some kind of fire and ash bologna sausage. And a lot of people think that pretty films are something to go to. I'm just unconvinced that there's anything of quality being offered by James Cameron anymore, and I think some of you may also agree. But when I look at this article, I'm taken aback, because later this week, or maybe even later today, you're going to see a video from me talking about the fact that everything seems to have fallen off spectacularly, and the shill media is all that's left that's there to pry it up, pump it up, lift it up, try to convince you that things are good. There's nothing good out there at all. And as Matt says, a few days into August, I told you that 2025 was the year of box office flops. And you know what? Matt was right. Of course, I told you the same thing, but with Superman, Marvel's Fantastic Four leading the way, the trades are actually playing catch up and are confirming exactly what Matt said back then. Nothing was doing very well. So on Thursday of that week, THR published their own article titled "The Summer Box Office is Quickly Turning South." And I remember that article, and I think I even talked about it during the course of one of the 6-minute daily live streams that I do Monday through Thursday that you should be checking out. In fact, if you want, go ahead and put down in the comments below that you appreciate the live show, because many of you show up and comment there like crazy, and I gotta tell you, that really helps the channel. Now, the article discusses how it was hoped that the summer of 2025 would match the success of 2023, because 2024 was a bit of a letdown. Of course, that featured films like Barbie and Oppenheimer, as Matt says here, but ComScore, the media measurement and analytics company, now projects it's only going to make $3.75 billion, and that's terrible, because earlier this summer, we had a prediction coming from that same ComScore by Paul de Garabedian, who actually said we would be over $4 billion. We're not going to be at 4.1, 4.2 billion. It's nowhere close. The 3.75 may be a stretch at this point. And one of the reasons was, and we'll get into it in just a second, was the complete lack of quality tent poles. A lot of studios were pretending they had something to offer, and the shills went running with it, and of course the trades followed, saying that the summer was supposed to be saved by Jurassic World Rebirth, Superman, and Fantastic Four. Instead, only the dinosaurs somewhat overperformed, which is true. Rebirth actually did very well, but it did well across, well, the international audience, but it didn't do as well as Dominion. And it's got the basically lowest grossing numbers of the franchise when you adjust for inflation. Domestically, Superman beat the dinosaurs, but internationally, it suffered. So it was a trade-off for those two films. But even THR notes that Superman, while seen as a solid player, only cleared 600 million worldwide as of Friday, and that was like last Friday. It's still not doing very well after this weekend. And believe me, I know. I study and analyze the box office for you each and every Monday in a video just like this one. In fact, you may have already seen it today. What's even more interesting to me is that 2025 isn't even going to match 2024. The fall off has been significant, and I think they've actually lost the audience. And that's a bad failure. It's a sad failure. It's one that I hope doesn't repeat itself in 2026. But with the offerings I'm seeing so far, I don't think it can recover. Worse yet, as the next title you'll see reflects, there's no big hits. None. Minecraft of 955 million and Lilo and Stitch at $1 billion were huge. Everything else, not so much. In fact, each and every weekend we were praying during the summer that the box office would be over 100 million. And we saw more than a few disappointments at that number. That's not good for the exhibitors, and it's certainly not good for Hollywood. You see, Jurassic Rebirth, which is a horrible film, and Matt and I agree on that, has good numbers. I mean, 829 million, but it's 50% below the first one and 36% below the second one, and around 20% below Dominion, which, if you look at the trajectory of these films, goes down in a straight line. And that's bad. 28 years later, flopped hard, as I predicted right before it opened, losing $75 million. You had Snow White, $205.6 million. That was probably a $350 million loss. And Cap 4, which was terrible. Captain Anti-American is exactly what it was. $415 million. That's low. Lower than that still would be Thunderbolts at $382 million. Both of those films flops. Snow White is just easily the worst film of the year. But Disney even confirmed that Cap 4 and Thunderbolts flopped. I mean, when you're coming out to say it, you know Disney's in big world of hurt. Fantastic Four is flopping super hard, $472 million, which THR even confirms that the Marvel movie quickly lost its groove and couldn't even catch up to Superman, the film that it was said to potentially beat. The collapse helped drag the summer box office down 11% compared to 2023, wiping out the earlier gains from Minecraft and Lilo and Stitch. And unfortunately, How to Train Your Dragon just didn't quite get to where everybody thought it would go. Elio, the biggest flop ever in history as far as I'm concerned, bombed at 150.6 million total, I believe. And Ballerina didn't do as well as I'd hoped at 133.8. Mickey 17, early bomb, knew this was going to be a disaster, 133 million. And Karate Kid at 110 million. What a disastrous follow-up to Cobra Kai, which was basically the launch point for this film. And then you had the superstar films. For example, F1, Mission Impossible, and more. Well, everybody's been raving about F1, but at 595.5 million at the time of, well, this article, which was, again, about 11, 12 days ago. Maybe it's not the success that we thought. Internationally, it has an engine that just keeps running, but the price that they paid to make the film, hard to frame it as a win, as THR tried to do. Apple is celebrating 600 million, but in today's blockbuster economy, that's far from a true success. The break-even number is really 750 million, and that's not a win. Then you get to Mission Impossible, the film that I wish had done better. Truly, only 594 million. Truly a flop, especially after what Paramount had to write a check for. And finally, we have to get to the few exceptions that there actually were. For example, in addition to Minecraft, Lilo and Stitch, and Jurassic World Afterbirth, you had How to Train Your Dragon, decent, 618 million for what it spent. This made some money, not much. Final Destination Bloodlines, huge win, 285.3 million on a very small budget. And Weapons, another low-budget horror film, doing great, $167.4 million. Of course, Sinners, a lot of people love that film. Awesome movie at $365 million on a teeny tiny budget. Earned an additional $87.3 million internationally. I have to tell you, $100 million, not bad. Not bad at all. And of course, all this leads up to the conclusion of the bottom line. So far, we're almost 2/3 of the way through the year, and we got little to rave about. As ComScore's Paul de Garabedian admitted in the THR's article, summer 2025 will match or exceed 2024. I'm not even sure that that's the case, but the margins are crazy thin. I am more shocked than anyone else that we're not going to resoundingly surpass $4 billion. I told him this wasn't going to happen in one of the first videos I did this summer, but $4 billion is a tougher threshold than we thought, and it took a Barbenheimer way back when to do it. 2025 is officially the year of the box office bombs, and I'm with Matt. I agree. How about you? That's right, we are to the audience participation part of the video, and I desperately need you to double check you've hit the thumbs up already, but make your comments down below. Do you think we're only going to elevate the box office for the rest of the year? Or do you think it'll further sag since there's only a handful of offerings that an audience might actually be interested in? Also, do you think that next summer will be close to $4 billion, or do you think that even with inflation and ridiculous upcharges from the theaters, we won't get anywhere close? Do you think we're on the upswing when it comes to theater earnings during the whole year? Or do you think AMC is going to be left explaining to investors why exactly the numbers have gone down so far? I'm unfortunately a little bit of a skeptic, and I don't think the upcoming years are going to be very friendly to Hollywood unless they drastically change the things that they're focused on back to something that's a bit more traditional. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below, and as always, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, see ya! But maybe not as often in the movies.